Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Lewis and Clark County Board of County Commissioners. We will start out by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As usual, we will start with introduction of our little panel up here. And just to change things up, I'm going to start on the far right with our CAO, Mr. Roger Balls. Good morning, Roger. And it has been brought to my attention that at one point last week, I did not introduce County Commissioner Andy Hunthausen. He is my right-hand man, and when I don't know what to do next, I say, in the last 18 years. Well, anyway, Andy Hunthausen, Commissioner. And to my left is Tom Rolfe, also Commissioner, and I've never forgotten to introduce him. And Brandy Spangler, who makes sure everything is done according to our legal requirements. And Greg McNally, who is the head of our planning department, and welcome. There, okay. We have a sign-in sheet right up here at the front, so be sure and, let us know you were officially here. And then we have a consent action item. Roger Balls will be telling us all about this.
Thank you, Chair Payne and Commissioners. This is item 2A on the agenda. It's the Helena Area Habitat for Humanity Letter of Support. Staff recommends approval of this item, and those are the only consent items. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Roger. I'm a big proponent of the Helena Habitat for Humanity, so I was very pleased when we had this opportunity to support one of their projects. And this is to install solar panels on their building here in the city. Is there any comments from the commission?
None.
Oh, okay. Then I have to ask if there is any public comment. Nope, no public comment. Could we have a motion, please?
Chair Payne. Oh, go ahead.
Don't fight, boys.
Chair Payne, I'd move that we approve consent action item 2A as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Helena Area Habitat for Humanity Letter of Support. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Next up is the bid award as presented by Mr. Dan Karlin, our county engineer.
Good morning, Chair Payne, Commissioners. For the record, Dan Karlin, County Engineer. On April 22nd of 2025, 6 bids were opened for the Head Lane Bridge Replacement Project. The project generally consists of the replacement of a single-span timber structure on Head Lane over 7 Mile Creek. The project was bid as a base bid and one additive alternate to ensure the project stayed within budget. The base bid generally consists of the removal and disposal of the existing bridge, roadway embankment, surface course, a driven pile foundation, installation of the bridge superstructure, and guardrail. The additive alternate is comprised of the installation of approach slabs on either end of the bridge. The 54-foot pre-stressed concrete tri-deck girders that comprise the superstructure were previously procured to get them in the production schedule and meet project timelines. Funding for this project is a combination of $379,930 in Montana Coal Endowment Funds and $379,930 in Senate Bill 536, Local Discretionary Grant Non-Federal Matching Funds. After review of the bids, staff recommends awarding the base bid plus additive alternate number 1 to the low bidder Battle Ridge Builders of Belgrade, Montana, for a sum of $485,879, and authorize the chair to sign all applicable contract documents. And I could pull up on the screen if you wouldn't mind. And I can also answer questions.
Chair Payne.
I have a question, and I was trying to formulate it. I'm a little confused. You're talking about funding is a combination of $379,930 from the Coal Endowment Fund and $379,930 from the Senate Bill 536. Those two things do not add up to $485,879. What? Can you explain the math for me?
Absolutely, Chair Payne, Commissioners. So with a project like this one, we procured the bridge beams ahead of time. The number on that was $117,639. So just the concrete superstructure, the part we drive on, that's about $118,000. Okay, so the installation of that and all the other work that goes into removing and then installing this new bridge was $485,000. We also paid our consultant, or are in the process of paying our consultant, about $130,000 to design, assist with contract administration, assist with grant administration, and then oversee the construction of the project for us. So all told, at this present time, we have obligated or spent $733,000 if this contract is awarded, which leaves us about 5% in contingency for change orders as the project progresses and is constructed.
Okay, so my math was, so it is 379,930 plus the 485.
Chair Payne, it is the Montana Coal Endowment Grant was for $379,930. We are required through that program to match at 50%. So the total budget for the project is $758,860, which is those two grants combined.
Okay.
So we received the Senate Bill 536 money, I want to say a year and a half ago, in order to match this grant 50-50.
Thank you. Sorry to be so dense, but I think I've got it now. Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
Sure.
I might.
Go ahead, Tom.
Can you give us an estimated timetable on this? I know that there's a lot of things probably still up in the air, but what would be the timetable on it?
Yeah, Chair Payne, Commissioner Rolfe. So the bridge beams are built. So they're ready. They're sitting in Billings, waiting to be delivered to the project site. We have a permit condition. It's called a fish window for fish spawning season. We cannot commence any in-stream work until July 1st. So we won't start any sooner than July 1st on the project as far as in-stream work goes. We're gonna, if this is awarded, we'll start communicating with the contractor immediately. They have about 90 days in their contract time to complete the project. So if they started on July 1st, we'd be looking at the end of September, roughly, for the completion of the project.
And then follow up, right,
Tom?
Chair. And how long is it going to be? Is the road going to be then? Is the road going to be closed down for that whole probably 90 days?
Chair Payne, Commissioner Rolfe, yes. So we do have a requirement in the contract for the bridge contractor to establish a detour around the project site during the duration of construction. They'll be responsible for creating a traffic control plan that Public Works will approve, and then they'll proceed.
Okay, but the bridge will be, the area will be, the road will be closed in for about that 90 days that we're talking about.
Chair Payne, Commissioner Rolfe, yes.
Thank you.
Andy?
Chair
Do you have
Payne.
a question?
I was going to ask about timeline, but I'll ask about something else because I think it's really interesting. The bridge that currently exists has a 5-ton limit, I think, on it right now, right? And it's its age and size compared to what we're going to have there, and the longevity, the projected longevity of this new bridge, and its length is significantly different, looking at modern take on floods and floodplains and floodways and all of that. Can you just, I think it's interesting for the public to hear it again. We talked about this months ago, but it'll be good just to get a recap on the old versus the new and why we're doing this.
Absolutely, Chair Payne, Commissioner Hunthausen. So the existing bridge is, I want to say it's about 24 feet in span. So that's from one foundation to the other is about 24 feet. It's a little narrow in width. It's only about 22 feet wide. Our minimum width for our county standard is 24 feet. It was constructed, I believe, in the 50s, late 50s. So it's about 75 years old. It's a timber structure. Kevin and his crews, Mr. Horne back here, they went and did some reinforcing on that to ensure that that could remain open until we could replace it, because it was, we had a couple cracked timber stringers, the girders that actually carry the load. The new structure is 54 feet long from center of foundation to center foundation. That is to ensure that we can meet the hydraulic requirements. So those flood flows that you were talking about, we have to meet, per our bridge standards, we have to provide 1 foot of freeboard at the 50-year flood event. So freeboard is the distance from the low point of the superstructure, so the bottom of that part we're driving on, to the surface of the water at that flood event flow. So we do a lot of, well, our consultant did a lot of modeling on their computer software to ensure that, and then they send that to the floodplain administrator to get that signed off on. It's reviewed by DNRC. Takes a little bit of time. It's a lot of effort. That's one of the primary reasons we do use consultants for some of these bridge projects, is for the hydraulic modeling and permitting. Going further, this current bridge is timber, and we're going to be replacing that with a pre-stressed concrete tri-deck or pre-stressed concrete bridge. The design life on that, what we design for, is 75 years minimum. Quite frequently, they last quite a bit longer than that. Concrete is a very resilient material. Over time, Kevin can speak to this too if you wanted to ask him some questions, but when we specify concrete on any project, we specify a minimum compressive strength. Quite often it is 3,500 pounds per square inch. 3,500 PSI is how we state that usually. On a bridge like this, it's probably 5,500 PSI. But the point I was trying to get to here is concrete over time, even after it's reached its design strength, it continues to grow strength for the duration of its life. It's always getting a little bit stronger. With that, they do get a little more brittle. So concrete has no tensile strength, so it will tend to crack. But that's why it's pre-stressed, so it holds all that stuff together. So long story short, we're looking for greater than 75 years with the new structure.
That's great. Chair Payne, thank you. I think it's really important that we share with people that we're just not throwing up a new bridge that, you get off the shelf. This is engineered, and it is, as you described there, for the longevity and the greatest value to the taxpayer. So this should last us 75 to 100 years at least, and it will handle all those flood flows and all of that this bridge really doesn't take into account necessarily, at least the modern modeling. Thanks, Chair Payne.
I have one more question that you were discussing our contractor putting in a detour. Will that include a temporary bridge?
Chair Payne, Commissioners, this project does not have room for a temporary detour bridge next to it. If you recall, in the past, we have done work on this bridge, and we did establish a detour around it. So generally, I'll go to this one so I can kind of point on the screen here.
Okay.
The approved detour that we had last time, and what we would anticipate is a contractor will place barricades right in here. So they will stop the project there on the south side of the bridge, and on the north side, they would place their barricades right about here. So really the restriction, it's going to be an inconvenience for those that are trying to go south on Head Lane to go to, say, Fort Harrison or the country club, things of that nature. But it is a very viable detour that we've used in the past. So that's kind of the way we go with that. Also, placing a temporary detour bridge is pretty expensive. That microphone is popping quite a lot.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah.
thank you. The map really helps. I understand how this is going to work now, and I'm glad you don't have to have a temporary bridge. Okay, are there any further questions from the commission? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Seeing no public comment, could we have a motion on this, please?
Chair Payne, I would move to approve to award the bid for the Head Lane Bridge as explained by Dan Karlin.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the bid award for the Head Lane Bridge as presented by engineer Dan Karlin. Do we have any further discussion of this?
Chair Payne, I just think the public needs to know that the diligence of our staff has, while it's taken a little longer to get things done than some would like, we're going to have a good 75 to 100-year bridge that's going to take care of our problems for a long, long time. And your diligence in looking for grants to pay for this, once again, it's paid off to keep us from having to eat the whole thing. Actually, really, grants are taking care of the whole thing, most of it. And I just really appreciate the staff's efforts on this particular project. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anything else, Andy?
Here, here.
Okay, and I agree entirely. Just because you can get something cheaper doesn't mean it's going to be better. To quote my father, the oats are going to be cheaper if they've already been through the horse once. Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the, where'd it go? The bid award for the Head Lane Bridge. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Item 3B is the road project agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the USDA Forest Service, Helena-Lewis and Clark National Forest, and will be presented by Mr. Kevin Horne. Kevin?
Good morning, Chair Payne. Commissioner Hunthausen, good morning. Commissioner Rolfe, good morning to you as well. Chair Payne, Commissioners, my name is Kevin Horne. Spelling on that is first name Kevin, K-E-V-I-N. Last name is Horne, H-O-R-N-E. I'm the Operations Manager for Lewis and Clark County's Public Works Department. Chair Payne, Commissioners, before you today is a project agreement between the U.S. Forest Service and Lewis and Clark County to perform a Resource Advisory Committee grant project. In 2022, the Resource Advisory Committee awarded Lewis and Clark County a grant totaling $43,000. This project falls under the United States Forest Service Schedule A Cooperative Agreement presented to the Board of County Commissioners and approved by the Board of County Commissioners on January 9th, 2025. The project consists of dust abatement on 8.7 miles of York Nelson Road and 2 miles of Upper Beaver Creek Road. These roads were identified as the primary haul route for United States Forest Service Middleman Timber Harvest Project. Dust abatement will provide safe air quality for the traveling public and the timber haulers throughout this project. Work is expected to take place by August 31st, 2025. The agreement expires December 31st, 2029. Staff recommends approval of the project agreement with the United States Forest Service in the amount of $43,000 and authorizes the chair to sign the agreement. Chair Payne, Commissioners, maybe just a quick clarification, if I may. In regards to the cooperative agreement on January 9th, just as a refresher, That is the master agreement that we have with the United States Forest Service. That agreement authorizes Lewis and Clark County to perform work on United States Forest Service roads. It also allows the United States Forest Service to do work on Lewis and Clark County roads. That is that master agreement. All of our project agreements fall under that master agreement. So this RAC project that I'm presenting today is basically a subsection, if you will, of the master Schedule A agreement.
RAC.
Resource Advisory Committee.
Thank you. I don't remember those acronyms. Resource Advisory, what was the last word?
Committee.
Committee, okay. Are there any, do you have any questions, commissioners?
No.
I guess you've clarified everything.
Yeah, well explained.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none. We should have a motion now, please.
Chair Payne, I'd move that we approve the road project agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the USDA Forest Service, Helena-Lewis and Clark National Forest, as presented by Mr. Horne.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments from the commission?
Chair Payne, if I could.
Andy?
Just a thank you. As you described in here, these agreements are really important when, like you talked about the master agreement between the Forest Service and us working on each other's roads and projects, and it is in the best interest of the taxpayer that public entities can work together and our jurisdictions cross, and there's roads all over the place. And if we can take care of the ones that get the service together, it makes things much more efficient and economical and value added for the taxpayer. So I appreciate the work you do in going the extra mile to try and arrange and work on these agreements and make sure that we're all taking part in caring for the public roads. So appreciate your work. Thanks, Chair Payne.
Chair Payne, if I might, I just think this is a great example of cooperation between the feds and the local government, and you know, there's a lot of expenses related to taking care of and maintaining access to the federal public lands, and we get some help from the feds to do this. We participate in it, but they're paying for a lot of this, and they should. I mean, they don't pay any property tax towards our efforts, so the system does seem to work here. So thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comment, it has been moved and seconded that we approve this project agreement as presented by Kevin Horne. All those in favor of approving the project indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kevin. Next, action item 3C, and this is a grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, and it will be presented to us by our friend Sarah Sandau.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Payne and members of the Commission. I am Sarah Sandau. I'm the Community Health Promotion Division Administrator at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, I have before you a grant award from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services for their Strengthening Public Health Workforce Grant in the amount of $100,000 for sustaining vital public health workforce. The grant period is from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This is a continuation of funding that we currently receive and will be in our fiscal year budget. This funding pays for salary and other expenses to cover employing our epidemiologist. Our epidemiologist helps our department ensure we are being effective by creating tools to evaluate the work we do and to measure our impact to make sure that we are looking at different data from around our local our state, our nation, to make sure that we are focusing our efforts in ways that we should be. Having data guide our work and priorities is a public health best practice. And then she also has a real strength in making sure that then we publicize that data. How are we showing our community what we've gathered or what we've learned? One successful output from this past year, fiscal year, so starting last July through this June, was the creation of the Community Health Assessment that tracks vital health data for Lewis and Clark County. This is a report that helps the community see our health in a variety of different data points and helps us as a community prioritize areas that we can improve. That report can be found on our Lewis and Clark Public Health website. If you go to the website and then go to the Healthy Together page, there's something that's called the 2024 Community Health Assessments. You can find all that data in that report there. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there any questions from the commission?
Chair Payne.
Andy,
Uh,
Mr.
and,
Hunt.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out, because we're talking about this very briefly, but the role of the epidemiologist, and you use this example of the community health assessment plan, it's significant, and it was a significant lift for the community. And just briefly talk about that process and how much of the community was involved in the process. And it's a great document. I've looked through it and been in several meetings where we've looked over it, and it's really tells the story of our community in so many ways. And I just want to focus on that a little bit for those who might be listening today.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Payne, Commissioner Hunthausen. So every 3 years, we do a community health assessment. So that really pulls together the different data from our community. So we look at national sources of data, state sources, and then we decided to collect our own local sources as well. So that involved many volunteers going door to door last June. We were knocking on doors, going through a survey, talking to people. It was a random selection to make sure that it was a variety of people and homes and locations throughout our county. And actually, we did the 5 county regions so that we can make sure that we were fitting the needs of St. Peter's Health as well, so that it was fitting their needs for their assessment as well. So it involved door-to-door knocking, so we got local data as well that we would not normally would be able to receive. So that involved our Healthy Together Steering Committee, which involves St. Peter's Health, Lewis and Clark Public Health. It involves United Way and Peerview Health Center and Rocky Mountain Development Council. And so we all came together to figure out how can we get the best data. And then our epidemiologist, Val, was able to pull all that together, pull into a beautiful report. And then what we do with that report is then the following year, every 3 years, we look at that data as a community. We pull together different community voices. We pull together both, the experts in the organizations as well as anyone who's interested. So we really try to market it far and wide and have a variety of avenues to get feedback to say, well, what do we do about it? And that turns into our community health improvement plan. So we try to pick about 3 main focus areas of what are our key things that we can work on together. Of course, there's probably 100 things we can work on together, but we know that our time and resources are limited. So how can we really focus together? And so the community decided to focus on the same main 3 areas that it was at the last time, because it's still important and we'll just continue and further our efforts, which is behavioral health, housing, and chronic disease based on the data and
What was the third?
chronic disease.
Oh.
So in chronic disease, it's specifically heart disease, cancer, and asthma are the 3 that were rising to the top in that section. So that's what the community developed. We are in our final stages of that community health improvement plan, finalizing it. We just went through a community input time so that they could review the draft plan, provide feedback. Our consultant is finalizing that feedback, and that will be posted, the final version, within the next few weeks. Thank you.
Sarah, you mentioned that this was involved 5 counties. What are those counties?
Yes, for the St. Peter's region, it is Lewis and Clark, Broadwater, Marr, Jefferson, and Powell.
And is St. Peter's Hospital or healthcare the only, wondering, it's not the only healthcare entity in this region, and does it not include, for example, there's health entities, I know in Townsend, I'm pretty sure there are in White Sulphur Springs anyway, how do those factor into this? Is it just for St. Peter's Health?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Payne. That's a great question. So for Healthy Together Steering Committee, we try to make sure that different local health establishments, they need to have a health assessment. So we wanted to make sure that it fits the needs of the different health assessments that we all need, so that again, we can all be working together and it can meet the needs of everyone. So this also met Peerview's needs, it met Rocky's needs. The goal is for it to meet benefits next time. This time they weren't at the table, but the goal is next time it involved a little bit more of coordinating. So next time they'll be at the table too. And then Helena-Lewis is often at the table too. So that's local in Helena. And that includes some of the other counties. When we did the Casper assessment, which was the door-to-door knocking, we did reach out to all of those local healthcare to make sure that they were a part of it, that they could provide volunteers, because we also know that you don't necessarily want someone from Helena knocking on your door in one of those counties, but if you know that it's one of your neighbors, maybe you're more likely to answer the door too. So they were included in that Casper data gathering assessment as well. They were included in all of the planning stages.
So does this benefit for example, does this benefit Townsend? Does this report help them get funding, or how does it help the outlying counties that aren't part of St. Peter's?
Yeah, so they got the data. So then they can create their own report based on the data that was helped provided. This report, though, was just Lewis and Clark County. So we made sure that this report was really hyper fixated on our county, but the data that was gathered in the assessment time was given to them so that they can make their own report.
Okay, that's very helpful. Tom, did you have any questions?
No, nothing more. No.
Is there any public comment? Seeing no public comment, let's have a motion, please.
Chair Payne, I would move to approve the grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, as explained by Ms. Sandau.
Second.
Okay, is there any further comments from the commission? Are we done?
Just one, if I might. I think epidemiology is very important, and knowing the statistics and getting accurate statistics are, in order to make this health decisions, is an important issue, and I hope we'll use it the best we can to give us good indications of where we should go with our healthcare provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Andy?
Here.
Okay. All in favor of approving the grant award to Lewis and Clark Public Health from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, as explained by Sarah Sandau, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Sarah. The next, Pam Attardo. Good morning, Pam. That was a joke.
Good morning, Chair Payne. Greg McNally with the Community Development Planning Department. Ms. Attardo could not be here with us this morning, so I'll be standing in for her. You have before you, Chair Payne, Commissioners, the Helena-Lewis and Clark County Heritage Tourism Council is partnering with the nonprofit Preserve Montana to fund $1,434.75 for a historic wooden window repair workshop to be held by the Preserve Montana on May 17th. This workshop is going to be open to the public upon registration and payment of a small fee of $60. This workshop is going to be limited to 8 participants. Commissioners, the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, has recognized the county as a certified local government and provides funds for us for the HTC up to $6,000 per year. It's something we apply for every year and typically get. The State Historic Preservation Office this year awarded the HTC an additional $3,100 in addition to that $6,000 to help fund these two collaborative workshops with Preserve Montana here in 2025. So before you is a contract for one of those workshops with Preserve Montana. There is going to be, the workshop will end here, or the contract is for the month of May, and it's just simply for the one-day workshop. So these are dollars that are coming into the county through the Certified Local Government Grant and then going out to Preserve Montana, specifically for the purpose that the grant was awarded. Staff is recommending approval of the contract for the workshop on May 17th, 2025.
Thanks, Greg. Commissioners, do you have any comments?
I do not.
None.
Well, I think it's a fabulous idea. I have old windows in my grandma's house, and you don't want just anybody working on them. Okay, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we should probably have a motion at this point.
Chair Payne, I'd move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark County and Preserve Montana as presented by Mr. McNally.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve this grant contract. Are there any further comments from the commission? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the contract between Lewis and Clark County and Preserve Montana as presented by Greg McNally indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. It is at this point on our agenda that we allow public comment on any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda above. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.